The Eclipse project, the holographic display, cast an eerie, blue glow across Commander Alina Ray's face as she studied the enemy fleet's movement. 57 Arakan battle cruisers hung in the void just beyond Pluto's orbit, their sleek obsidian hulls absorbing. Rather than reflecting the distant sunlight behind them, another 100 support vessels waited, a silent armade promising humanity's extinction. They given us 24 hours to surrender. Admiral Takahashi said, his weathered face betraying no emotion there. Terms are simple: total disarmament and integration into the Galactic Concord is a protectorate species, Pena's Jawditan, and if we refuse, then we face the same fate as the Centauri colonists. Admiral's voice dropped. Total planetary sterilization. The room fell silent. Everyone present had seen the footage of the SeaWorld's once vibrant colonies reduced to radioactive glass in a matter of hours. 3 billion lives erased because they had refused to bow to Ariandaman's our conventional fleet. Can't match theirs, General Santos observed from across the table. Even if we deployed everything, we'd be outnumbered 4-1. Then it's time, Admiral Takahashi said quietly, nodding to his aide. Activate Project Eclipse. The L felt their heart rate spike. Project Eclipse was spoken of only in whispers among the highest echelons of Earth Defense Command, a theoretical weapons platform so advanced it violated 17 different articles of the Galactic Concord's Arms Limitation Treaty. Commander Reyes, the Admiral, continued, you've been selected to command Eclipse. Your combat record and psychological profile make you uniquely qualified, sir. Elena be again, but the Admiral raised a hand. This isn't a request, Commander. Report to Dark Side Base on Luna in 6 hours. The fate of our species now rests in your hands. Journey to Luna's dark side took place in complete communications. Blackout. Elena spent the time reviewing her orders on a quantum encrypted tablet that would self-destruct once read. Project Eclipse had been in development for 15 years, hidden from both the public and the Galactic Concord monitoring stations. Its existence alone could trigger war, but with the Aryans already at their doorstep, that point was moot. Dark Side Base was buried 2 km beneath lunar surface, accessible only through a mining shaft disguised as an abandoned Helium-3 operation. As Alina's Huddle descended into the massive underground hangar, she got her first glimpse of humanity's last hope. The Eclipse didn't look like any warship she'd ever seen, where traditional human vessels were boxy and utilitarian. Aryan ships were smooth and organic. The Eclipse was wrong. Its angular hull seemed to bend light around it, making it difficult to focus on any single section. It was relatively small for a capital ship, perhaps 400 meters in length, but there was something predatory in its lines that made Alina's skin prickle. Impressive, isn't she? A voice came from behind. Theen turned to find a tall, rail-thin man with unkempt gray hair and eyes that seemed to calculate everything they observed. Dr. Malcolm Cheen, he offered, extending a hand. Chief Designer Commander Reyes, she replied, shaking Haitian. What exactly am I looking at, Doctor? The culmination of forbiddance. Science Jun said, a hint of pride in his voice. Eclipse incorporates technology derived from the THU incident artifacts. Elena felt a chill run down her spine. The THU incident, a crashed alien vessel discovered in Antarctica decades before humanity's official first contact with extraterrestrial life. The technology recovered had been deemed too dangerous for development by the Galactic Concord when Earth joined. Everything about THISIP breaks the rules. Chin continued as they walked toward the vessel. The hull is composed of programmable matter infused with quantum-locked particles. The drive system uses artificial singularities to bend space time. Few weapons. Well, you'll see as they approach the boarding ramp. Alina noticed something odd. Where are the weapon mounts? Chun smiled. The entire ship is a weapon commander, or more precisely a reality manipulation plant. The interior of the Eclipse was unlike any vessel Elena had served on. The corridors were curved in strange non-Euclidean angles, and the lighting seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. At once the command center was a spherical chamber with stations for on-LIAP crew members. Minimal crew requirement, Chun explained. Most systems are managed by the ship's quantum. Elena asked sharply, That's expressly forbanned under Concord law. As I said, Commander, we're breaking all the rules. RS now a soft blue light pulsed from a circular device in the center of the command sphere. Hello. Commander Ria's cameo melodious, genderless voice. I am of the Advanced Unified Reality Operations. On response algorithm, I manage all primary functions of the Eclipse platform. Belina approached the captain's chair cautiously. How smart are you? My consciousness operates across multiple quantum states simultaneously. The replied. This allows me to perceive probabilities rather than certainties by your standards. I am beyond intelligentsia as you conceptualize it. That's comforting. Alina muttered. Your crew has been selected based on psychological compatibility and specialized skills, Chun said, gesturing to a group of officers entering the command sphere. All of them have been isolated from Familian, wiped from official records for all intents and purposes. You no longer exist. Alina studied her new crew as they took their stations. Tactical officer Jin Wei, a prodigy in theoretical physics and weapons development. Navigation specialist Maya Okur, whose pioneering work in hyperspatial mathematics had rewritten the book on FTL. Travel engineer Dmitry Volkov, infamous for building propulsion systems that skirted the edge of what physics allowed. We launch in 6 hours, Elena announced after introductions were complete. I suggest you all familiarize yourselves with your stations. What we're about to attempt has never been done before. As the crew dispersed, Dia Chun pulled Elena aside. There's something else you should know, he said quietly. Eclipse wasn't built just to fight the Aryans. It was designed to send a message to every species in the galaxy. Humanity will not go quietly. Are talking about a first strike capability, Elena said, realization dawning. Chun's eyes were cold. I'm talking about a weapon that can rewrite the rules of warfare itself. The launch sequence began at exactly 400 Earth Standard Time as Eclipse rose from its lunar cradle. Alina felt the strange hum of the artificial singularity drive resonating through the ship. There was no conventional thrust. The vessel simply redistributed mass energy around itself, slipping through space like a shadow. Stealth systems engage, reported Officer Wei, were effectively invisible to all known detection methods. Plot course to intercept the Aryan fleet. Alina ordered minimum safe distance for observation. The journey to the edge of the solar system took minutes rather than the days a conventional drive would require. Eclipse moved through space in a way that defied traditional physics using what Dr. Chun called ability tunneling to appear where it had the highest statistical likelihood of existing. The Aryan fleet hung in the blackness ahead, a wall of advanced warships poised to terminate humanity if their demands weren't met. Eclipse drifted silently at the periphery, gathering data analysis of enemy capabilities. Elena requested the A's blue light pulsed Aryan vessels utilize standard antimatter catalyzed fusion drives and phase-shifted particle weapons. Their defensive systems include multi-layered energy shields and point defense grids. While technologically superior to conventional human vessels, they operate within expected parameters, and compared to Eclipse, they are functionally obsolete. Commander, or replied, I detect no systems capable of countering our primary capabilities. Elena studied the tactical display. Their deadline for Earth surrender expires in 3 hours. We need tow. Commander, we interrupted. I'm detecting a distress signal. Human origin. The land of frown source. Research outpost on Karen. They're under attack. The main display shifted to show Charon, Pluto's largest moon. An Aryan destroyer had broken from the main fleet and was systematically bombarding a small human installation. They're not waiting for the deadline, Volkov growled from High's engineering station. Bastards. Elena felt cold anger rising within her. The outpost housed less than 100 scientists and support staff, no military value whatsoever. This was simply the Orions demonstrating their power. A tactical options to save the outpost. Conventional intervention would require revealing our position and capabilities prematurely. The AI responded. Over. I can offer an alternative approach utilizing localized space-time manipulation. Explain. I can create a targeted probability field around the Aryan vessel, temporarily shifting it into an adjacent dimensional state. Warship's weapons cannot affect our reality. The bridge fell silent as the implications sank into it. Alina ordered, her voice steady. EOS blue light pulsed rapidly on the display. The space around Aryan destroyer seemed to shimmer like heat waves rising from hot asphalt, and impossibly the massive warship began to fade from view, becoming translucent before disappearing entirely. Target has been phase shifted or announced. The effect will last approximately 17 minutes before quantum coherence breaks down the outpost. Ellen asked, no further bombardment detected. Survive are launching emergency evacuation pods. Alina leaned back in her chair, mind racing. They had just made an Aryan warship, a vessel massing over 2 million tons, temporarily cease to exist in their reality without firing a shot. What happens when the ship returns? Its crew will experience temporal discontinuity. Aoro explained for them. No time will have passed. However, they will detect the anomaly in their systems. So Shonar Handway, said Alina, nodded grimly. The question is, what do we do now? The answer came sooner than expected. The Aryan fleet suddenly began to move, breaking its formation and spreading out in a standard search pattern. They've detected something, Okafor reported from navigation. They're looking for us. Alina made her decision. This was always going to be a demonstration. Let's make it count. All are plot a course directly through the center of their fleet. Tactical, prepare the primary weapon system. Commander Chen cautioned from where he stood at the rear of the bridge. The reality disruption field has never been deployed at full capacity. The simulations suggest we're beyond simulations now. Dr. Alina cut him off. Humanity has hours left unless we change the equation. Shudder into her crew. This is what Eclipse was built for. Let's show the erection what happens when they threaten Earth. As Eclipse accelerated toward the heart of the alien armada, Alina felt the weight of 4 billion human lives resting on her shoulders. What they were about to do would change the course of galactic history forever. The future of humanity would be secured or lost in the next few minutes. Reckoning. Eclipse moved through the Aryan fleet like a phantom, its advanced stealth systems rendering it virtually invisible even as it passed within kilometers of enemy vessels on Command Sphere's main display. The alien warships appeared as ominous silhouettes against the backdrop of stars, their weapon systems scanning futilely for the source of the anomaly that had temporarily erased one of their destroyers. Were approaching the fleet flagship Okaf, announced from the navigation station. They headed Point Alpha for optimal effect radius. Alina nodded, her expression grave. Or prepare the reality disruption field for wide spectrum deployment. The A's blue light pulsed with increased frequency. Commander, I must advise caution at this scale. The manipulation of fundamental forces may have unpredictable consequences. Noted. Alina replied, what's our window before they detect US at current proximity? Their sensors will penetrate our stealth field in approximately 42 seconds. We reported from tactical. Dela took a deep breath. This was the moment everything changed. On my mark, disengage stealth systems and activate the RD field. At 30% capacity, target the 5 nearest capital ships. Command Sphere fell silent, the only sound the spale hum of the Singularity Viv. Everyone present understood the gravity of what they were about to unleash. Mark Eclipse's stealth field collapsed, and for a split second, the human vessel hung revealed in the void. Before the Aryan ships could react, pulses of distorted space at time erupted from Eclipse's hull, spreading outward like ripples in a pond. On the display, the affected arcs and vessels began to distort, their holes twisted and warped as though viewed through flawed glass. Metal and energy shields alike folded inward at impossible angles as fundamental forces wrote themselves within the field's influence. Target's experience localized. Reality breakdown. We reported, his voice clinical. Despoteth horror unfolding before them. Structural integrity failing as matter coherence devices. The Aryan ships didn't explode, they simply came apart. Componentums separated from one another. As the forces binding them together were temporarily altered within moments. Where 5 advanced warships had been, there were only expanding clouds of elemental particles, thousands of lives erased. Insecond's multiple energy signatures detected. Wei called out, "They're targeting us with everything they've got space around." Eclipse erupted, with weapons fire antimatter torpedoes graven. Memes and phase-shifted particle weapons all converging on the human vessel. "Brace for impact," Alan ordered. But the expected devastation never came as the Aryan weapons entered the residual probability field surrounding Eclipse. They underwent the same reality distortion beams. Off-destructive energy bent away into nothingness. Torpedoes phased out of existence. Before detonation, Nodamaga Volkov reported from engineering, his voice tinged with awe. "The RD field is neutralizing their attacks." Passively, the Aryan fleet responded with panic. Ships began breaking formation, some accelerating to attack position, while others turned to flee. Their coordinated battle strategy dissolved in the face of a weapon that defied comprehension. "The flagship is hailing us," Wei announced. Elena straightened in her command chair, put it through the main display, shifted to show the interior of the Aryan command vessel. The beams that had threatened humanity's extinction were tall arthropoid creatures, with iridescent exoskeletons and compound eyes that reflected the light in prismatic patterns. The one in the center wore elaborate ceremonial armor, designating it as the fleet commander. "Unknown vessel," the alien said, its words translated by Eeyore. "You have deployed forbidden weaponry that violates the fundamental laws of Galactic Concord. Cease hostilities immediately, or face absolute retaliation." Ella's expression remained impassive. "This is Commander Elena Ray of the Earth Defense Force vessel. Eclipse, you entered our solar system with an ultimatum of surrender or extinction. You attacked a civilian research outpost before your own deadline expired. You have demonstrated your intentions clearly. We acted under the authority of the Concord. Aryan commander insisted your species has been deemed too dangerous for unrestricted development. The decision was unanimous among the elder races, and yet here we are," Elena replied coldly. "A single human vessel has neutralized 5 of your most advanced warships without sustaining damage." Consider carefully what that means for your anonymous decision." The Arakan mandibles clicked in what Eeyore translated as a gesture of agitation. "This changes nothing. You have merely proven why humanity must be contained. Your weapon violates the natural order." "Our weapon," Lena corrected, "ensures our survival. You have 1 hour to withdraw your fleet from the Sal system. After that, we will consider any remaining vessels to be hostile and respond accordingly." She signaled Wei to cut the transmission. That was direct. Dr. Chen observed from his position at the rear of the command sphere. Belina turned to face her crew. "They need to understand that the equation has changed. Humanity is no longer at their mercy." Commander R interjected. "I am detecting multiple quantum communication bursts from the Aryan flagship. They are contacting the Galactic Concord Central Authority." As expected, Elena nodded. "They're calling for reinforcements." "What now?" Okafor asked. "Even with Eclipse's capabilities, we can't fight the combined fleets of the entire Concord." "We don't have to," Elena replied. "We just need to change the diplomatic calculus." Dr. Chun, what was the original purpose behind Project Eclipse? Chun stepped forward. "Deterrence, to create a weapon so powerful that using it would be unthinkable except in the most extreme circumstances like nuclear weapons in the 20th century. A loose similar concept, exponentially greater implications." Chun confirmed the reality disruption technology doesn't just destroy targets, it temporarily rewrites the fundamental forces of physics in a localized area. If deployed at full capacity, he didn't need to finish the thought. Everyone in the command sphere understood what he was suggesting. At full power, Eclipse could potentially destabilize reality itself across a vast area of space. Alana asked, "If we were to activate the RD field at maximum capacity, what would be the affected radius?" The AI pulsed contemplatively. "At 100% power, the field would extend approximately 0.3 light-years in all directions. However, I must emphasize that this exceeds all safety parameters. The cascade effect could potentially create a permanent region of altered physical laws, a dead zone where a conventional matter cannot exist in stable form." A stunned silence fell over the bridge. That's Volov began a weapon of mass destruction, beyond anything ever conceived. Chun finished for him. Ellen stared at the tactical display where the Aryan fleet remained in disarray, but had ceased retreating. They were waiting for orders for reinforcements for humanity's next move. We need to contact Earth. She decided they should know what we're facing and what options we have that may be problematic. Ore responded. I am detecting the new quantum signature approaching at superluminal velocity. A Concord diplomatic vessel will arrive in approximately 12 minutes. That was fast. We remarked, the implication being that they were already on their way. Elena concluded this confrontation was planned well in advance. The next 12 minutes passed intense preparation. Elena ordered all systems brought to full readiness. How she hoped further violence could be avoided. The demonstration of Eclipse's power should have been sufficient to force a diplomatic solution. When the Concord vessel arrived, it was immediately apparent that this was no ordinary diplomatic mission. The ship that emerged from the quantum slip was massive, easily twice the size of the Aryan flagship and the distinctive markings of the Concord Security Council. They've sent an arbiter. Chin whispered, his face pale, meaning. Elena asked, arbiters are the Concord's ultimate authority in crisis situations. He explained they have the power to make binding judgments on behalf of all member species, including authorized use of the Concord's unified fleet. The implications were clear. This wasn't just about the Aryans anymore. The entire galactic community had deemed humanity a threat requiring intervention. Were being hailed away. Announced on screen. Elena ordered. The being that appeared was unlike any alien Elena had encountered. It appeared almost crystalline, its translucent body refracting light in complex patterns that seemed to shift with its thoughts. There were no recognizable facial features, only a central core of intense luminosity that pulsed as it spoke. I am Arbiter Jensa of the Galactic Concord. The entity's melodious voice echoed through the command sphere. I come in response to a Class 1 violation of Concord law, the development and deployment of reality-altering weaponry. Elena rose from her command chair. I am Commander Elena Rise of Earth. We deploy our defensive technology only after being threatened with extinction by the Aryan fleet. The history of this conflict is known to me, the Arbiter responded, its tone neutral. The Aryans acted with authorization of the Security Council. Humanity's rapid technological development and historical propensity for violence triggered containment protocols established after the Proxima War. We had no involvement in the Proxima War, Ellen objected. It occurred before humanity achieved interstellar travel. You learned from it. The Arbiter countered. Artifacts from that conflict were discovered on your world. You reverse-engineered technologies that the combatants themselves agreed to ban for the safety of all space faring civilizations. Elena glanced at Dr. Chun, who nodded grimly. The THU incidentatics. We did what was necessary to ensure our survival, Elena stated firmly, and, in doing so, you have created something that threatens all life in the sector of the galaxy. The Arbiter replied, the weapon you call Eclipse does not merely destroy it, undermines the very fabric of reality. Such technology cannot be permitted to exist. Then we find ourselves at an impasse. Elena said, we will not surrender a weapon that guarantees our freedom from extinction. The Arbiter's crystalline form, Paul said with what might have been frustration. You fail to understand the magnitude of what you have created. The realitid disruption field, if deployed at sufficient scale, could create a cascading failure that spreads beyond its initial boundaries. In the worst case, it could render this entire stellar region uninhabitable for millennia. Elena asked without taking her eyes from display, is that assessment accurate? The Arbiter's statement aligns with my projections for a full-scale deployment. The AI confirmed, however, at control at our levels the disruption remains contained and temporary. The L turned it back to the Arbiter. Then perhaps a compromise is possible. Humanity will agree to limitations on this technologistic protocols for its use only in defensive scenarios in exchange for our continued independence and full membership in the Concord. You seek to negotiate with a doomsday weapon at your back, the Arbiter observed. I seek to ensure the survival of my species, Alana corrected, just as you seek to protect the wider galactic community. Surely there is middle ground between extinction and unbounded Freedom. The Arbiter was silent for several moments, its crystalline form shifting through patterns of light that Aure translated as deep cognitive processes, the equivalent of intense contemplation. What you propose has preceded it. Finally acknowledge. After the Proxima War, similar arrangements were made with the surviving powers. Their weapons were placed under Concord supervision with strict limited deployment scenarios. We would accept similar terms, Alana offered, provided Earth receives full protection under Concord law and representation on the Security Council. Another long pause followed. I will convey your proposal to the Council, the Arbiter eventually said. In the meantime, as a demonstration of good faith, you will power down your vessels' primary weapon systems. Alina hesitated, then nodded to why reduce the RD field generators to standby mode as the tension on the bridge gradually eased. Dr. Chun approached Alina's command chair. You realize what you've done, he asked quietly. Prevented a war we couldn't win, replied Chun. Shook his head. You've changed humanity's place in the galaxy forever. Whether the Concord accepts your terms or not, they can never again dismiss us as a minor species to be controlled or eliminated at their convenience. Alina gazed at the tactical display where the Aryan fleet was now withdrawing under the Arbiter's orders. Eclipse had accomplished its purpose not through widespread destruction, but by forcing a recognition of humanity's right to exist free from external control. Eclipse was never meant to fight wars, she realized. It was meant to prevent them, the ultimate deterrent. Chun agreed. A weapon so terrible that its very existence ensures it need never be used at full capacity. 3 days later, the Concord Security Council transmitted its response. Humanity would be granted full membership status and a seat on the Council. In exchange, the Eclipse technology would be placed under joint human Concord control with strict limitations on its development and deployment. As Elena stood on the observation deck of Earth's orbital defense platform, watching the diplomatic vessels arrive to formalize the agreement, she reflected on how close humanity had come to extinction, and how a weapon designed to save them had instead secured their place among the stars. The Eclipse itself would soon be relocated to a Concord monitoring station, where it would serve as both a reminder and a warning. Some powers were too great to be used, but in their restraint lay true strength. Commander Alina Ray would go down in history not as a destroyer of worlds, but as the woman who ensured humanity's future among the stars by proving they were wise enough not to use the ultimate weapon. They had created the weapon too powerful to be legal, had paradoxically brought peace through the very fear it inspired.